If you don't want to hear it in a school board meeting, why should children be able to check it out of the school system? You see, we have perverts that are perverting our kids. And you all sit back smug in your chairs and celebrate diversity, equity, and inclusion, but you don't want me to read it so you can hear it.
The companies before us, I know you don't mean it to be so, but you have blood on your hands.
You're a billionaire. Will you commit to compensating the victims? Will you set up a compensation fund
Senator,
with your money?
I think these are
with your money.
Senator, these are complicated
Yes, no, that's not a complicated question, though. That's
Senator,
a yes or no. Will you set up a victims compensation fund with your money, the money you made on these families sitting behind you? Yes or no?
You have a product. You have a product that's killing people.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I greet you in the name of our Lord Jesus. Oh yes. Now, reading the caption, the first part of the caption, that should bring excitement, isn't it? That should make anybody who is listening or who cares happy. Also, I think, of course, yes, I was happy, I'm happy. But when you are patient enough and we'll go through this together, you will understand why the follow-up to the first part of the title. Yes, that it is a proof that this world is lying in the hand of the wicked one. However, we should also be appreciative of the fact that they have not lost it all completely. Now, you're going to listen to this and see how Mark Zuckerberg, the owner of Instagram, WhatsApp, Facebook, was bombarded alongside others that own TikTok and other social media.
You are welcome to the End Time Truth Television, the channel for the lovers of truth, for the truth of the end time. So if you are a lover of truth, give us a subscription and God bless you. Shalom.
It is very, very important that we also appreciate the fact that there are some persons who still have some form of sense of justice for the people who have been wronged in one way or the other. Now, this video is talking or centering, mostly on child violation, some sort, but not the kind of violation that you may understand. I know that a lot of you may have seen this video before, but I'm going somewhere. Now, let us listen to this.
Let me ask you this. There's families of victims here today. Have you apologized to the victims? Would you like to do so now?
Well,
they're here. You're on national television. Would you like now to apologize to the victims who have been harmed by your product? Show them the pictures. Would you like to apologize for what you've done to these good people?
I'm sorry for everything that you've all been through. It's terrible. No one should have to go through the things that your families have suffered. And this is why we invested so much and are going to continue doing industry-leading efforts to make sure that no one has to go through the types of things that your families have had to suffer.
Why, Mr. Zuckerberg, why should your company not be sued for this? Why is it that you can claim, you hide behind a liability shield, you can't be held accountable? Shouldn't you be held accountable personally? Will you take personal responsibility?
Senator, I think I've already answered this. I mean, these
Well,
are
try
serious
this again.
issues.
Will you take personal responsibility?
Senator, I view my job and the job of our company as building the best tools that we can to keep our community safe.
Well, you're failing at that.
Well, Senator, we're doing an industry-leading effort. We build AI tools
nonsense. Your product is killing people. Will you personally commit to compensating the victims? You're a billionaire. Will you commit to compensating the victims? Will you set up a compensation fund
Senator,
with your money?
I think these are
With your money.
Senator, these are complicated
Yes, that's not a complicated question, though. That's
Senator,
a yes or no. Will you set up a victims compensation fund with your money, the money you made on these families sitting behind you? Yes or no?
Senator, I don't think that's My job is to
Sounds
make sure
like a
that we
no.
build good tools. My
Sounds
job
like a
is
no.
to make sure that
Your job is to be responsible for what your company has done. You've made billions of dollars on the people sitting behind them. You here. You've done nothing to help them. You've done nothing to compensate them. You've done nothing to put it right. You could do so here today, and you should. You should, Mr. Zuckerberg.
Mr. Zuckerberg, you and the companies before us, I know you don't mean it to be so, but you have blood on your hands. You have a product. You have a product that's killing people. When we had cigarettes killing people, we did something about it, maybe not enough. You're going to talk about guns, we have the ATF. Nothing here. There's not a damn thing anybody can do about it. You can't be sued. Now, Senator Blumenthal and Blackburn, who've been like the dynamic duo here, have found emails from your company where they warned you about this stuff, and you decided not to hire 45 people that could do a better job of policing this. So the bottom line is you can't be sued. You should be, and these emails would be great for punitive damages. But the courtroom's closed to every American abused by all the companies in front of me. Of all the people in America we could give blanket liability protection to, this would be the last group I would pick. It is now time to repeal Section 230.
When a Boeing plane lost a door in mid-flight several weeks ago, nobody questioned the decision to ground a fleet of over 700 planes. So why aren't we taking the same type of decisive action on the danger of these platforms when we know these kids are dying? We have bills that have passed through this incredibly diverse committee when it comes to our political views, that have passed through this committee, and they should go to the floor.
invested time in it. I
Zuckerberg, yes,
think-
there are a lot that is slipping through. It appears that you're trying to be the premier sex trafficking
Of course
site
not, Senator.
in this country.
Senator, that's ridiculous.
No,
S-
it
Senator,
is not ridiculous.
Of
You
course
want
we
to
don't
turn
want
around
this-
and
we
tell
don't want
these
this
people
content
that.
on our platforms, and
Why don't you take it down?
We do take it
We
down.
are here discussing.
We do
We
more
need
work to
you
take it
all
down
to
than-
work
than-
with
than-
us.
than-
No, you're not. You are not. And the problem is, we've been working on this. Senator Welch is over there. We've been working on this stuff for a decade. You have an army of lawyers and lobbyists that have fought us on this every step of the way. You work with Net Choice, the Cato Institute, Taxpayers Protection Alliance, and Chamber of Progress to actually fight our bipartisan legislation to keep kids safe online. So are you going to stop funding these groups? Are you going to stop lobbying against this and come to the table and work with us? Yes or no?
Senator, we have a.
Yes or no?
Of course, we'll work with you on the legislation.
Okay,
I mean,
the
it's
door
been hard
is
to-
open. We've got all these bills. You need to come to the table. Each and every one of you need to come to the table, and you need to work with us. Kids are dying.
Let me point to this, Mr. Chu. There was a report recently that compared hashtags on Instagram to hashtags on TikTok, and what trended, and the differences were striking. So, for something like hashtag Taylor Swift or hashtag Trump, researchers found roughly 2 Instagram posts for every one on TikTok. That's not a dramatic difference. That difference jumps to 8-1 for the hashtag Uyghur, and it jumps to 30-1 for the hashtag Tibet, and it jumps to 57-1 to the hashtag Tiananmen Square, and it jumps to 174-1 for the hashtag Hong Kong protest. Why is it that on Instagram, people can put up a hashtag Hong Kong protest 174 times compared to TikTok? What censorship is TikTok doing at the request of the Chinese government?
None. Senator, that analysis
explain
is
that
flawed.
differential.
The analysis is flawed. It's been debunked by other external sources like the Cato Institute. Fundamentally, a few things happen here. Not all videos carry hashtags. That's the first thing. The second thing is that you cannot selectively choose a few words within a certain time
Why the
period.
difference between Taylor Swift and Tiananmen Square? What happened in Tiananmen Square?
Senator, there was a massive protest during that time. But what I'm trying to say is our users can freely come and post this
Why
content.
would there be no difference on Taylor Swift, or a minimal difference, and a massive difference on Tiananmen Square or Hong Kong?
Senator, could you wrap up, please?
Senator, our algorithm does not suppress any content opinion simply based on
To
it.
answer
It
that
doesn't.
question, why
Yeah.
is there a difference?
Like I said, I think this analysis is flawed. You're selectively choosing some words over some periods. We haven't been around as
There
long
is
as
an
other apps.
obvious difference. 174 to 1 for Hong Kong compared to Taylor Swift is dramatic.
Mr. Spiegel, there are a number of parents whose children have been able to access illegal drugs on your platform. What do you say to those parents?
Senator, we are devastated that we cannot
To the
prevent-
parents, what do you say to those parents, Mr. Spiegel?
I'm so sorry that we have not been able to prevent these tragedies.
Everyone knows that kids who spend a lot of time, too much time on your platforms are at risk. And it's not just the mental health issues. I mean, let me ask you a question. Is your platform safe for kids?
I believe it is, but there's an
Hold on a
important
second.
difference between
Let me
correlation and causation.
because we're not going to be able to get anywhere. We want to work in a productive, open, honest, and collaborative way with the private sector to pass legislation that will protect Americans, that will protect American children above all, and that will allow businesses to thrive in this country. If we don't start with an open, honest, candid, realistic assessment of the issues, we can't do that.
Who will support the Kids Online Safety Act? Yes or no? Mr. Citron?
There are parts of the act that we think are great.
No, it's a yes or no question. I'm going to be running out of time, so I'm assuming the answer is no if you can't answer yet.
We very much think that the national privacy
That's a
standard
no.
would be great.
Mr. Siegel?
Senator, we strongly support the Kids Online Safety Act, and we've already implemented many of its core provisions.
Thank you. I welcome that support along with Microsoft support. Mr. Chu?
Senator, with some changes, we can support it.
Well, in its present form, do you support it? Yes or no?
We are aware that some groups have raised some concerns. It's important to understand
I'll
how
take
those
that as a
concerns-
no. Ms. Yacarino?
Senator, we support COSA and will continue to make sure that it accelerates and make sure it continues to offer community for teens that are seeking that voice.
Mr. Zuckerberg?
Senator, we support the age-appropriate content standards, but would have some
Yes
suggestions
or no,
on how to
Mr.
implement it.
Zuckerberg? Do you support the Kids Online Safety Act?
Senator, I
It's a
think
measure
these are
that is
nuanced
public,
things.
and I'm just asking whether you'll support it or not.
These are nuanced things. I think that the basic spirit is right. I think the basic ideas in it are right.
Now, just as I said when I was starting that, you see, this step taken by the government and the Senate of the US is quite a very good one, very, very good one in the good direction. But I should also think that whatever is good for the goose is good for the gander, because there is also a certain movement that is, in my own understanding opinion, is also doing enough harm to children. The innocency of children is being stolen away from them. You know, it is not actually quite new, in the West or in America. But the zeal with which it has been pursued over the past few years is becoming alarming. And when I saw this one, I thought that the same zeal with which the government officials here followed up Mark Zuckerberg and the rest of them, that also should be directed in what I want to show you. Recently, about a year ago, a Nigerian American pastor went to the school, and this was what he did in the school.
Here today to talk about this book here. My name is John Amanchukwu, as I've stated earlier. It's called It's Perfectly Normal for Students 10 and Up. This book details all kinds of sexual images, pictures of elderly people nude, pictures of an individual who's in a wheelchair with his penis out. All of these sexual pornographic images are made available and placed at the fingertips of children. And I'm sure, Dr. Cruz, I don't know if you knew about this before you signed on, but hopefully this is something that you can address and deal with, because this is immoral and asinine to allow children to be able to see this. Also, this book even shows images of two women having sex, a man and a woman having sex, and two men having sex. That's not perfectly normal. Who decides what's normal? Is it you? Is it you? Is it you? Is it you? Or do parents decide what should be placed at the fingertips and allowed to be taught to their children in the school system? I'll read some of this for you. It says, after a bit, a person's vagina becomes moist and slippery, and the clitoris becomes hard. After a bit, a person's penis becomes erect, stiff, and larger.
Pastor.
Sometimes a bit of clear fluid that may contain a few sperm comes out of the tip of the penis and makes it wet.
Can we, sir, I'm sorry.
Was it something I said? Was it something I said? If you don't want to hear it in a school board meeting, why should children be able to check it out of the school system? You see, we have perverts that are perverting our kids. And you all sit back smug in your chairs and celebrate diversity, equity, and inclusion, but you don't want me to read it so you can hear it. Why? Does it bother you? Yes or no? You can't answer that question. You want to know why? Because politically speaking, you can't say that it's wrong. You probably are a Christian man, but many Christians today have become more Democrat than Christian. Some Republicans have become more Republican than Christian. I'm not trying to win an election. I don't get my talking points from the RNC or the DNC. I get my talking points from the Bible, from the Bible. And you don't want me to read the filth because it exposes the truth. How dare you tell me to stop reading it? If you don't want to hear it, why should the children have to see it?
Pastor, your time is up. Thank you.
That makes two of us.
And recently, a young mother also, even though that eventually they said that that was a skit, I don't understand how it is a skit. But look at what she did.
Hey! Not.
Wait,
what are you doing? Not. Stop that. I am not paying I am not paying my tax money to support. Get out of this type of now. You cannot. Why do you have this hanging? And why do you have this hanging up? It's part of the students. No, it's not part of anything. That is uncalled for. We are paying you to teach history, and that's what you need to be teaching. Excuse me, this is a public school, little lady. You are excused. You are. Do you see what's on this side? No. This needs to go exactly where it is, in the garbage. You need to go in the garbage. I'm teaching my son to grow up to be a man. And I don't want you hanging on flag. I'm calling security. Hanging a flag up for you to sit up there and teach them the type of stuff I'm trying to keep them away from.
I told you what would happen. I told you somebody parent gonna get mad.
You need to be teaching history. 33, please. No, you need to be teaching history. Shut up. No,
hey,
I'm not getting out of nowhere.
like that.
I'm not getting out of nowhere. Hey, no, you don't tell my son to shut up. You talking to me. And like I tell my son ain't failing. He needs to be failing because you got a flag hanging up of you over the United States of America.
All right. Now, going back to the things that was passed across to Mark Zuckerberg and the rest of them. Now, the truth is that children are being exposed to certain things that are very dangerous, that are very, very, unfriendly to the children or the mind of children is quite, true. And a lot of children have lost their lives in that process. I remember a child who was exposed to these things, and a certain Yahoo scam my fraudster from no other place, but you know where the came from. And I started chatting with this young boy, and who happened to be the only son of the parents, a white boy, and he was chatting with him as a lady, and he got to the point where she, who it was he, asked him to. Now they were getting down, and so he asked him to post some nude pictures to him, which he did, and not knowing that he wanted to use that to blackmail him. At the end of the day, he asked the child to send him, I think, either $1,000 or $1,500, and the boy ended sending him the little money he had, and he was bent on exposing the boy, and he told him if he doesn't do this, he was going to expose, post the nude pictures, which he did, and the young child went home, took his own life. Now, so there are several others, and you heard what was said there. But should we not also look at children who are being taught how to transgender from who they were to who they are being made to believe they are? Now, if children have been said to have been exposed to things they were not supposed to expose to, because they were not old enough yet to have such experience. Now, is it not also wrong that people are trying to impose on children what their parents found repulsive, what their parents found contrary, what their parents think is not right? Now, I'm using parents now because parents are going from schools to school to fight against these things, yet the same government is looking away from it. In fact, government is even prosecuting people. Government is, schools and school management are suspending and terminating the contracts of any teacher who says anything amiss, anything that is contrary to what these things stand for. So if children were affected by social media products or the activities of people like Zuckerberg, Mark Zuckerberg, and the rest of them, and this government has this zeal to rebuke them and to try to caution them and to bring them to order. Now, which one should be left undone? I really don't know how to put this, but if you know what I'm saying, you know what I'm saying. Now, when children under 10, children under 18, been exposed to how to change their identity from a man to a woman or from a woman to a man. Now, I will not say that there are children who took this action while they were still very young and could not have known the difference, could not have been able to know the difference between the wrong and the right decision they were taking. And at some point in time, they regretted ever doing what they did to themselves. So shouldn't there be a regulation too that ought to stop this kind of thing going on in schools so that people like Pastor John Amanchukwu will not have to manifest and act or react in the way and manner they have done? I will leave you with this message that he gave, and I hope that this explains to you further what I'm trying to pass across to you.
Luke chapter 17:2 says that it's better for a person to have a millstone tied around their neck and to be thrown into the sea than for anyone to harm or damage a child. And so the question today to the school board is, only you know whether or not your role, the policies, the curriculum, and the things that you allow in this school system in Wake County, only you know whether or not a millstone is tied around your neck. The reality is this: God is going to judge every last one of you for decisions that are made on behalf of children. This past year we spent $1 million on a diversity office. And how did that benefit black children? How did it benefit children in general? Well, 78% of 3rd through 8th grade black students are not proficient in math in Wake County. We're wasting taxpayer dollars putting money towards this diversity office that's not benefiting those who need it the most. 66% of 3rd through 8th grade students are not proficient in reading. Black students, they're not reading on grade level. They're not performing mathematically, and they're not going to be able to get jobs in the fields like STEM. But we're wasting money on a diversity, equity, and inclusion office while we are failing black students in the name of diversity. In the Jim Crow era, black students were locked out of the public school system. But today they are trapped in. And many of these students need options. They need school choice. They need the opportunity to take their taxpayer dollars and take it to school systems that will benefit them and support them and educate them. And as we talk about inclusion and making sure that the trans student feels comfortable and the queer student feels comfortable, what does that have to do with reading, writing, and arithmetic? As we are teaching cultural Marxism and grooming children to be the next pervert, we are damaging our kids in this public school system, and it needs to stop.
That I'm not supposed to be so raw, because if I'm so raw here, YouTube, I will get into trouble with YouTube as well. But what we're trying to say here is that the reason why it may not come, the reason why what I'm saying or what I'm asking of may not come, and that is where the word lying in the hand of the wicked one comes to play, is that a lot of the people who should have stopped it, who should have asked questions, who should have prosecuted those who are practicing this, are also by themselves the same thing and supporting the same thing. So it's like kingdom rising against kingdom. So, and we know that such kingdom will not stand. So that is why you find out that they may question people like Mark Zuckerberg, but they cannot stop the parade. They cannot stop the abuse of children's mind. They cannot stop the violation of parents' rights over what their children should be exposed to. No, they cannot stop it. They will rather further it and make it go on and on and on. For that is the heartbeat of the devil. Now, know that which God hates with passion, the devil would want to do it with commitment so that he could get back at God. And who does he use? Humans. Those are the ones that he uses. I wish and I pray that this gives you an understanding. God bless you. Let me know what you think about this video in the comment section. We see you in the next one. Till then, from me to you, shalom.